Lacan was a French psychoanalyst who was born in 1901 and died in 1981. He was considered one of the most controversial thinkers in psychoanalysis since Freud. Given his focus on language and symbols, he was also highly influential in disciplines outside of psychoanalysis itself. The three orders form a Borromean knot, where each piece fundamentally requires the other two to hold together a coherent structure. The knot models how Lacan saw that anything happening within the mind requires imagination, symbolism, and reality. And similarly, when things were awry, they related to problems in or between the orders. This interrelation between the orders is so true that I actually cannot really describe the orders independently of each other. Instead, I am forced to make some awkward examples and try to make my case, so please give me some slack as I give this a go. The imaginary order is associated with a child first recognizing themselves in a mirror and is made up of mental reflections of the surface of the body with a lot of imagination driving the process. Imagination is a critical psychic function in that it is a rapid way to express thoughts, feelings, and ideas. The imaginary order is a fundamental way people explore, build, and grow. However, unbridled imagination, the kind uninformed by the symbolic and the real, has serious problems. The imaginary order is very childlike, impressionistic, and impulsive. Lacan called the imaginary order both narcissistic and speculative. Anyone with a 3-year-old knows this, as children make up very cute but wildly inaccurate stories and hypotheses about how things work, and often declare themselves to be the implicit center of the universe, either the cause or the recipient of all outcomes. So at its most unbridled and spectacular, the imaginary order is a seat-of-your-pants, superficial sort of order, organized around an immediate feeling and a creative drive. Imagination is about impressionistically making things up. While imagination is very desirable when telling a story, engaging in art, or expressing oneself creatively, it can become quite excessive. Psychiatrists describe adults in this state as confabulating. Confabulation is when people make erroneous assertions that are based on inaccurate, superficial perceptions of the world. In addition, confabulators, both the normal child and the abnormal adult, are notorious for always thinking they are right, even when presented with evidence to the contrary. Confabulation is seen in chronic alcoholics who, even when sober, chronically make up impulsive and improbable stories explaining events that have little to do with actual fact. Let me explain the imaginary order through the story of Peter Pan. In the story, Peter lives in an alternate world where physical laws don't apply to him and he can do anything. The world is magical, with fairies, mermaids, pirates, and Indians. The only recognized adult in this world is a fool. In this world, Peter's gut feelings are the same as facts. Flights of fantasy regularly reorder the universe, and everything ends up suiting Peter's imagination of the moment. However, for Peter Pan to pull this off, he actually has to live in Neverland, an alternate world isolated from others, a place that does not really exist. This is because to be in the imaginary order, each individual makes up their own universe on the fly in a way that is independent of accepted norms, logic, or reality. Given its random structure, it is impossible for two people to be imagining their own worlds and be in agreement at the same time. Lacan encapsulated the problem of the imaginary order by acknowledging its fundamentally fraudulent nature. People are constantly just making things up as you go along. In the imaginary, people say whatever superficially feels right to them at the moment. There are no rules like logic or experience or a need to reality test their claims. Even concepts like truth-telling and promise-keeping do not exist in an imaginary world. Confabulators are actually very sincere in their claims, but there is also no requirement that they will actually stay true to their word over time. Many people, unfortunately, take the sincerity of a confabulator as an assumption that their ideas hold merit in the real world. Making this worse is that confabulators have a terrible time when their claims finally fail to work. They have no way to understand why their ideas failed. Instead, they get frustrated, make up excuses, or just confabulate all over again.